Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bible Summary Series. Today, we're starting in Genesis chapter 45. At Judah's words, Joseph couldn't contain his emotions any longer, and he commanded his attendants, "Out, everyone, leave me!" So Joseph was alone when he revealed himself to his brothers. Then he broke down and cried, and he wept so loudly the Egyptians heard him, and word of it was quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless, and they were stunned at his presence. "Please, come closer to me," Joseph said. So they came closer, and Joseph said once again, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But don't be upset or angry with yourselves. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to save people's lives and to preserve our family. For this famine has ravaged the land for 2 years, and yet there are 5 more years in which there will be no plowing and harvesting. That is why God sent me to Egypt ahead of you, to keep you and your families alive and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So it wasn't you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his household, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Now hurry, go to my father and tell him, 'Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord over all of Egypt. Come to me, don't wait. You will live in the land of Goshen, close to me, you and your children and your grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and everything you have. And there I will take care of you, for there are still 5 more years of famine. Otherwise you and your household will come to poverty.' Look," Joseph added, "you can see with your own eyes, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it's really me speaking to you. So go, tell my father of all my splendor in Egypt and of everything that you've seen. Hurry and bring him here." Then Joseph hugged Benjamin, and he wept, and Benjamin cried as well. Then Joseph kissed all of his brothers and wept over them, and after that his brothers talked with him. The news that Joseph's brothers had arrived rapidly spread throughout Pharaoh's house. "Joseph's brothers have come," they said, and it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. Pharaoh called for Joseph and said to him, "Tell your brothers, do this. Load your animals and hurry back to the land of Canaan. Then get your father and your families and return to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat of the finest produce of the land. Yes, tell your brothers, take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little children and your wives, and bring your father here. Don't worry about your personal possessions, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours." So the sons of Israel did as they were told, and Joseph gave them wagons and supplies for their journey. Then he gave each of them a new set of clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 sets of clothes. He also sent his father 10 male donkeys loaded with the best products of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and food for his father on his journey. So Joseph sent his brothers away, and as they left, he said to them, "See that you don't quarrel on the way." So the 10 brothers left Egypt and returned to the land of Canaan to Jacob their father. And they told him, "Joseph is still alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt." When Jacob heard this, he was stunned, and his heart almost stopped beating because he didn't believe them. But when they had repeated all of Joseph's words, and he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, Jacob's spirit revived. "It must be true," Jacob exclaimed. "Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." So in Genesis chapter 46, Israel set out for Egypt with all of his possessions. But he stopped at Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. That night God spoke to Israel in a vision and said, "Jacob, Jacob." And he replied, "Here am I." "I am God, the God of your father. "Do not fear to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I will go down with you into Egypt, and I will also surely bring your offspring up again. You will die there, but Joseph will be with you to close your eyes." So Jacob left Beersheba, and his sons carried him and their children and their wives down to Egypt in the wagons that Pharaoh had provided. They also took all their livestock and everything they had acquired in the land of Canaan. So Jacob and his entire family traveled down to Egypt, his sons and grandsons, daughters and granddaughters, all of his descendants. Now Jacob had 12 sons, and his firstborn son Reuben had 4 sons. Simeon had 6, Levi had 3, and Judah had 5 sons and 2 grandsons. But 2 of his sons, and Onan, died in Canaan. Issachar had 4 sons, and Zebulun had 3. So the total number of Jacob's descendants through Leah, including Dinah his daughter, was 33. Now Zilpah, Jacob's handmaid, had 16 offspring altogether, for Gad had 7 sons, Asher had 4 sons, and a daughter named Sarah, and 2 grandsons. Rachel, of course, gave birth to Joseph and Benjamin, and Joseph had 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, whose mother was Asenath, while Benjamin had 10 sons, so Rachel's offspring totaled 14. As for Bilhah, her son Dan had 1 son, and Naphtali had 4 sons, so she had 7 offspring in total for Jacob. Altogether, the total number of Jacob's direct descendants who traveled with him to Egypt, not counting his sons' wives, was 66. And if we include Jacob, Joseph, and his 2 children, the total number of Jacob's family members in Egypt was 70. Now Israel sent Judah ahead of him to meet up with Joseph and get directions to the region of Goshen. After they arrived, Joseph prepared his chariot and traveled to Goshen to meet his father. When they met, he embraced his father Jacob, fell on his neck, and wept for a long time. Then Israel said to his son, "Now let me die in peace, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." Joseph said, "I will go and tell Pharaoh that my brothers and my father's household who lived in the land of Canaan have come to me, and I will tell him they are shepherds, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and everything they have. So when Pharaoh calls for you and asks about your occupation, you must tell him, 'Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now, both we and our fathers.' That way, when you tell him this, he'll let you live here in the land of Goshen, for the Egyptians despise shepherds." In Genesis chapter 47, verses 1 to 12, Joseph went and told Pharaoh, "My father and brothers have come from the land of Canaan, along with their flocks and herds, and now they are in the land of Goshen." Then he took 5 of his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. "What is your occupation?" the Pharaoh asked them. "Your servants are shepherds," the brothers answered, "both we and our brothers, and we have come to live here in Egypt for a while, because there is no pasture for our flocks in Canaan, for the famine is very severe there. So please, let your servants live in the region of Goshen." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Now that your father and brothers have come to you, you may choose any place in the land of Egypt for them to live. Settle your family in the best of the land. Let them live in the region of Goshen. And if any of them are specially skilled, place them in charge of my livestock as well." Afterwards, Joseph brought Jacob, his father, and presented him to Pharaoh. Jacob blessed Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh asked him, "How old are you?" "The years of my pilgrimage are 130, Jacob said. "Few and evil have been the years of my life, and they have not reached the years that my fathers lived during the days of their pilgrimage." Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and left his presence. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them property in the best part of the land of Egypt, in the region of Ramesses, also known as Goshen, as Pharaoh had commanded. Joseph also provided for his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food according to the number of their children.